What's up, Spud Nation? Week 13, NFL Fantasy Football, playoff time right around the corner. This is it. All you guys and girls out there, get your optimum lineups in now. Games on Thursday night. You got to get them in. You got to get a W. Increase your playoff seed. And you know what? For those of you struggling to make the playoffs, now's the time. Take that messed up roster of yours, put in the right people, and get yourself into the playoffs. Anything can happen from then on. Hey, I'm here to help. You have any questions? Craig at thesportscoach.com. That is C-R-A-I-G at thesportscoach.com. Email me. I'm quick to reply. I get back to all my fans, clients, whatever you want to call yourselves. I'll get back to you. I'll help you. And you know what? We're going to win some games and win some money together. If you want to check me out, I'm on YouTube. I have Facebook. I also have Twitter. Twitter is at thesportscoach. I'm always on there. I'm here to help you. This is an interactive. I'm interactive, baby. This is what it's all about. You can listen to ESPN till you're blue in the face, but they will not be interactive with you, will not get to you in time. I'm here. I'm ready to go. Hey, I'm batting over 90% for all my clients. Let's get some W's out there. Tell all your friends I'm here to help everyone. All right, enough about me. On to you guys. We're starting Thursday night. Seattle taking on Philly in Seattle. You know what? I see Marshawn Lynch going beast mode. I was not a Marshawn Lynch guy coming into this year. He's growing on me greatly. Dude touches the ball a ton throughout the game, receiving it, running it, and you know what? He finds the end zone. I love that about Marshawn Lynch. Seattle, they don't have the greatest passing attack, but they have Marshawn Lynch, and he's going to run the rock 20-plus times. He's going to find the end zone. And you know what? Everyone's been dicing up that Philly D. Marshawn Lynch is a must-play this week. Get him in your lineup. I am buying Marshawn Lynch stock in bulk. Get him in your lineup. Love him. Enjoy him. Marshawn Lynch. Ride this sucker all the way to the playoffs. As far as the rest of Seattle, quarterback's a mess. Receivers aren't anything to write home about. Sidney Rice isn't even playing. So, don't even touch anything other than Marshawn Lynch. If you are, if you have the opportunity to get Marshawn Lynch, get him. All right, moving on to Philly. Philly, they have weapons all over. Well, not so much. Michael Vick, out. Maclin, out. Deshaun Jackson can't catch a cold. What do? LaShawn McCoy is a beast. I love him. Some people are really high on Vince Young. Vince Young is an average fantasy quarterback. If you are really hurting in the quarterback department, maybe you had Matt Schaub, Matt Castle to start off the year. You haven't found anything to stick. Vince Young's going to get you a couple points this week. He's a decent fill-in, probably outside of he's a top 15 guy for me, but he would not crack my top 10. Yeah, he loves Riley Cooper. If Riley Cooper is a free agent, he is a decent wide receiver 3, maybe a flex play. Other than that, Philly is an average team with Vince Young at the helm. They get in the red zone, they stall out. That's where Michael Vick was so great. Getting them in the red zone, being able to run the ball in, throw the ball in, do whatever. But right now it's LaShawn McCoy's team. LaShawn McCoy, Marshawn Lynch. Those are your two studs Thursday night. We're jumping over to Sunday. Fast and furious action going on Sunday. We got to get all our guys in. We're starting with Oakland, taking on Miami. Miami's been hot as shit lately. You got to appreciate what they're doing. They're believing right now. But Oakland, just the same. They are rolling as well. And all without Darren McFadden. Darren McFadden, seen on the sidelines during practice. He has yet to hop in there with the guys. Michael Bush is a go. I love Michael Bush. For those of you who picked him up, you did great because Michael Bush has been carrying teams. 100 yards and a touchdown. This guy does it every week. Why would he stop now? Doesn't matter what defense he plays. I love this guy. He gets a lot of touches. He'll score for you. Michael Bush is a must start. Carson Palmer as well. Great fill-in. If you went out there and took a gamble on Carson Palmer's been throwing the pigskin everywhere. struggled to get in the end zone last week, but Carson Palmer has been lights out. I like him. I like him a lot. Put him in, I would say, probably around my 10 to 12 range for quarterback ratings. He's on that borderline of a top 10 quarterback. Doesn't exactly have the weapons that the top 10 have, but Carson Palmer is solid. He's a very solid quarterback. As far as Miami, Reggie Bush, I'm not a believer in him, but dude keeps on scoring. Miami finds ways to get him the ball, and that is just great for Reggie Bush owners. And on the other foot, Daniel Thomas. He's still splitting carries with Reggie Bush. They're basically chopping it down the middle. Daniel Thomas is a running back 3 maybe a flex play. The kid just does not find the end zone, and that is very unfortunate. A lot of talent in this dude, but flex play at best, because red zone, he just dies towards the red zone. As far as Brandon Marshall, stock is on the rise. He's increasing right now. Oakland doesn't have the greatest secondary, and Brandon Marshall gets a ton of targets. They'll look his way. So, Brandon Marshall, wide receiver 3, he might sneak into the wide receiver 2 category, depending on who's on your team. Tennessee taking on Buffalo. Damian Williams, I love it. I'm buying stock in Damian Williams. Any of you who have watched the show, you know I've been preaching Damian Williams way early this season. If you went out and got him, he's paying big dividends. Touchdowns almost every week. He is their red zone guy. He's the target for him. Great play for Damian Williams. Also, Chris Johnson. They're starting to run the ball, and he's starting to actually look like a running back. Doesn't find the end zone, but hey, Chris Johnson will get you a lot of yards. A lot of opportunity there with Chris Johnson. As far as Buffalo, I like David Nelson as a sneaky play this week. Stevie Johnson, he's going to be, he's Stevie Johnson. Cortland Finnegan's probably going to punch him in the mouth. And I like David Nelson sneaking in for a touchdown this week, much like he did last week. As far as struggles for Buffalo, CJ Spiller is going to struggle, and that is going to be his MO in the NFL in his entire career. CJ Spiller's too little. He doesn't have what it takes. Buffalo reached way too high for him, and that's why, that's why they gave him a chance anyway. This guy, if they would have taken him in the 5th round, 4th round, he would have been cut by now. So, CJ Spiller, if you went out and got him when Fred Jackson was injured, good luck. Spiller is going to struggle, and struggle mightily. Kansas City taking on Chicago. This should be a very interesting game. Battle of just backup quarterbacks. I think Kansas City has the better of the bunch. Kansas City, they went out there, they got Kyle Orton. That's great, great, great news for any of you who have Dwayne Bowe, like myself. Kyle Orton, if he builds a rapport with Dwayne Bowe, is going to be fantastic. Bowe should be over 100 yards. I don't know about this first week. He's going to get targets. You don't not throw to your best player. Orton's going to look to Bowe. So if you have Dwayne Bowe, get him in your starting lineup. Expect 100 yards. Expect a lot of targets. And you know what? Dwayne Bowe might even get sneaky and get in the end zone. I like Kyle Orton. He's going to throw a lot, and he's pretty darn accurate. He's shown he can play. Should be a nice pickup for Kansas City. Johnny Knox on the other side for Chicago. Johnny Knox, he found a quarterback that seems to really love him. Look for Johnny Knox to be the guy that they throw to. Johnny Knox put up great numbers last week. Look for him to kind of repeat the same. For those of you who have Knox on your team, he's not a bad wide receiver 3. Maybe a flex play on your team, depending on roster, obviously. And obviously the two-headed backs in Chicago. Marion Barber has a lot of value now. And also Matt Forte. When the Bears score, it's usually those two guys. They get in the red zone, it seems to be Marion Barber's territory, giving him a lot of fantasy value in touchdown-heavy leagues. Denver taking on Minnesota. Tim Tebow, he's a must-start in your fantasy league. He just does everything right in the fantasy realm of things. He throws the touchdowns when he needs it. He can run the touchdowns. He gets a ton of rushing yards. decent passing yards. Tebow is your guy, top 10 quarterback in the fantasy world. And against that weak Minnesota defense, look for Tebow to have a nice game. Saying that, Eric Decker should also have a nice game. When Tebow throws touchdowns, they are to Eric Decker. Decker in the top 5 in touchdowns this year. How can you argue with that? Moving on, Willis McGahee, I also like. Denver runs the ball a ton, so there you go. For Minnesota, this all hinges on Adrian Peterson's health. Supposedly, Adrian Peterson is such a gamer, he wants to get in there and play. Watch the injury report closely. You got to find out Sunday if Allday is playing, because if he's playing, Gerhardt's value goes to nothing. And also, Percy Harvins drops a little bit. Without Adrian Peterson, Gerhardt has some value. Not much, because Denver's defense is pretty sticky. And also, Harvin's value goes way up. So those of you out there, keep an eye on the injury report. It affects a lot of guys, whether or not Adrian Peterson's playing. And obviously, if you have Allday and he is playing, he is a must start. Hurt or not, this guy is brutal and will go out there and punch some people in the mouth, get in the end zone. You gotta love Allday. Jets, Washington. I like Dustin Keller in this matchup. I don't think Sanchez is going to have a lot of time to throw the ball, so the deep patterns aren't going to be great. Keller should get some looks. And I also like Santonio Holmes. The guy somehow finds his way into the end zone almost every week. Look for Holmes to get targets as well. As far as a scary play, everyone is very excited about Roy Halou, and rightfully so. He finally took the reins as the man, which I called week 1 of the NFL. But it's a scary matchup. Jets defense, Halou, I know he's great out of the backfield, catching the ball, running the ball. He's running into a pretty pissed off defense, and they're going to do anything they can to stop the run. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, huge game in the NFL. Could have some huge implications on your fantasy squad. I love A.J. Green. He has become a must start in everyone's lineup. And I also like Antonio Brown for Pittsburgh. The guy comes out of nowhere and he is lights out. He's money. Get him in your lineup. I love those two players this week. The guys who you'd think would be locks in your starting lineup, I think are going to struggle this week. Cedric Benson going up against that Pittsburgh D, going to be rough going. And also Rashard Mendenhall. Mendenhall, who I had labeled as a top 5 back coming into this year, has been nothing but a disappointment. Look for him to struggle. That Bengals defense is pretty solid. So, like I said, A.J. Green, Antonio Brown. Atlanta taking on Houston. Atlanta, I really like Tony Gonzalez, and I like Harry Douglas as a sneaky play. I think Harry Douglas is starting to get more and more looks. I know Julio Jones being on the shelf helps, but you throw all 3 of those guys out there, they're just not going to stop throwing to this guy. Douglas has been money. Look for him to continue to get catches. He's a very nice flex play. And for those of you out there who are in need of a receiver, maybe the injury bug hurts you or your receivers just aren't producing, take a flyer on Harry Douglas. Why not? Won't hurt you. He'll get looks, and it's a pass-happy offense. I also like Arian Foster, Ben Tate for Houston. That quarterback carousel going to be tough, but they have those 2 monsters back there to hand the ball off to. Struggling this week, I think Roddy White isn't going to put up the numbers you're thinking. I think Andre Johnson is going to struggle as well. And Michael Turner has been kind of on the downslide. I don't know if it's the late season, he's getting worn out or whatever, but the dude logs a bunch of carries. It looks like he's hit a wall. That's why Atlanta's throwing the ball a lot more. Look for Turner's numbers to stay where they've been the past couple weeks, around that 40 to 50 yards. He hasn't found the end zone lately. That's been Tony Gonzalez territory. So look for those guys. Gonzo, Douglas, Tate, Foster, and then the big studs actually struggling this week. Carolina taking on Tampa Bay. Cam Newton, obviously, he is a fantasy dynamo for Tampa. LeGarrette Blount And Mike Williams, love Mike Williams, continues to get targets and is starting to find the end zone. He's getting back to form of his freshman year. And for Carolina, look for Jonathan Stewart to struggle. I say that because DeAngelo Williams seems to be picking up more carries, and Cam Newton seems to be a goal line touchdown vulture. That kind of leaves Jonathan Stewart as the odd man out. Sucks to be him. In a three-headed monster, though, one person's always going to get left out. Colts versus Patriots. Holy man, the Colts put up some points last week. Everybody's getting excited. Oh, Reggie Wayne must be the greatest player ever. Nah. I mean, it's the Colts. They're struggling. They're throwing out some random quarterback. And although the Patriots' defense is absolutely horrible, Colts' offense is just as bad. For the Colts, I'd roll out Donald Brown. He gets a lot of carries, 14 to 20 carries a game. He found the end zone for the first time. Maybe that got contagious. Maybe he's all excited and he wants to get back there. Who knows? Donald Brown is a flex play, and if you're really hurting at running back, he's a running back too. But beyond that, depending on your roster, obviously you make the right adjustment. For the Patriots, Rob Gronkowski, he's been the man. Gronk, highest scoring tight end in the game right now. Tom Brady, obviously, and Wes Welker. And you know what? BenJarvus Green-Ellis. It's always risky to roll the dice with the Patriots running backs, but they seem to be going to the law firm. And you know what? If you're really struggling, a flex running back, maybe Green-Ellis is your guy. As far as guys that are going to struggle, I'd say Hernandez, look for around 50 yards. He's been pretty consistent the past couple of weeks, right around the 40 to 50 yard plateau. And I hate to tell you, Reggie Wayne, he's going to get targeted. I'm just not buying it. If he proves me wrong again this week, touche, Reggie Wayne, you got a lot of skill, but just not drinking the Kool-Aid yet. So he would not crack my starting lineup. And for those of you who have big stiffies over this guy, flex play at best. Don't get crazy because of 1 week. Baltimore Ravens taking on Cleveland. I like Baltimore. They're going to throw it, and they're going to throw it to Torrey Smith. Bolden's going to get locked up on Hayden. Great matchup over there. Torrey Smith, they're going to use his speed. He's going to fly. So look for Torrey Smith to have a nice game. Ray Rice to bounce back. Hopefully they get him the ball a little bit more. And for Cleveland, people are excited about Peyton Hillis back. He made Cleveland kind of a relevant team, but he's not going to put up huge fantasy numbers. Look for Hillis anywhere in the 40 to 60 yard range, and nothing to get too excited about. We all know that Raven D. It's pretty nasty. Dallas, Arizona. Dallas, you can roll out their entire offense. Des Bryant, Laurent Robinson, who I still love, regardless of the return of Miles Austin. Jason Witten, Tony Romo. For Arizona, Beanie Wells. I really like what he's been doing lately. And I also forgot DeMarco Murray for Dallas. As far as the guys who are going to struggle, I think Miles Austin, you can't expect too much. I think Romo's got a rapport with Robinson. He's got Des Bryant. He's got Witten. All those guys. Plus, he's got DeMarco Murray running the ball. How many touches is Miles Austin going to get? Coming off the injury, let's see. Maybe let him get his legs back. But I know a lot of people are jacked up about Miles Austin being back. I think he's going to take a third seat back. I mean, he's going to take a seat back, man. There are guys in front of him. A lot of talent on that Dallas offense. So, Miles Austin going to struggle this week. Green Bay Giants. I play a guy who is starting Aaron Rodgers this week. I'm very afraid of this because he's going to have all day to sit back there, pick his nose, text someone, and then throw the ball to all those great weapons that Green Bay has. Rodgers going to go ballistic. He's going to be the high scorer this week. I have that feeling. Greg Jennings, he's going to appreciate all the passes. Jordy Nelson, been in beast mode all season long. Beyond that, Giants, they're going to try throwing the ball and sticking with them. Hakeem Nicks, Victor Cruz, Eli Manning should put up some good points. And the guys who are going to struggle, Brandon Jacobs, Starks, and Finley. I think Finley has been the biggest disappointment of this entire fantasy football season. A lot of them out there, but Finley has been an absolute bust in my eyes, and that's too bad. He's got the best quarterback in the league on his team. He loves to run his mouth. He just doesn't make enough plays out there to warrant all the lipping off that he does. Rams, 49ers. I love Frank Gore. Love Michael Crabtree in this matchup. Vernon Davis isn't a horrible option at tight end. Depending on your situation at tight end, I would put in Vernon Davis over a guy like Aaron Hernandez at this point. But the guys who are going to struggle, I think the Rams offense in general is going to struggle. If you have a guy like Steven Jackson and he's one of your best 2 running backs on your roster, by all means start him. But the 49ers are vicious and they do not allow points to running backs. Going to be a rough week for Steven Jackson, and I love Brandon Lloyd, and I think he's going to struggle as well. It's unfortunate, but that 49ers defense is just that good. For the Lions, they're playing the Saints. You know what? Everyone thinks this is going to be a shootout, and rightfully so it could be. Hoping so for my own taste. I love Megatron, and he's on my squad, hoping he goes off. I don't see why he shouldn't. Megatron should have a big week. You got to put Stafford in there. He's going to throw the ball a lot. You know, the Saints can score a bunch. Saints, Jimmy Graham, he's basically their #1 receiver. Drew Brees puts up a buttload of points. And Mark Ingram, the rookie's back. He ran hard last week. There's no reason that he's not going to become the guy again. Before his injury, he was getting the most carries on the team. They have about 14 running backs back there, but Mark Ingram seems to be carrying the load, so roll Mark Ingram out there. And as far as the running backs in Detroit, Kevin Smith, no one knows. Maurice Morris, if Maurice Morris is your guy, he's a decent flex play, decent running back too, but don't get crazy over Maurice Morris. Kevin Smith, if he plays, looked fantastic. If he's healthy, he's a great running back too, or a great flex play. And the Monday night game, Chargers, Jaguars. Jaguars are in all sorts of chaos right now. Who's coaching, who's playing, who's quarterback, who knows with the Jaguars. Not like they were that good to begin with, but they're taking on San Diego. So let's see. Maurice Jones-Drew, they always have that guy to hand the ball to. He should have a great game. And for San Diego, I like Antonio Gates. He is the model of consistency. And also Vincent Jackson should rebound nicely and have a very nice game. Struggles. Tolbert. Carries are on the decline. I would also lump Ryan Matthews in there for having a good game this week. Jaguars' defense is pretty sticky, but Matthews is starting to get bulk carries, which is great in any fantasy realm. So, also, I wouldn't mind saying San Diego Chargers throw a lot of interceptions. Jaguars' defense is kind of a sneaky pickup this week, a sneaky play. Maybe slide them in your lineup. There you have it. That is Week 13. Make that playoff push, everybody. Go get yourself a win. We all need to win. Anyway, you got any questions, hit me up. I answer personal emails. Craig@thesportscoach.com, Facebook, or Twitter. Tweet me. I'm a tweetaholic at the Sports Couch. I will get right back to you. Everyone knows. Hey, good luck to everyone out there. Spud Nation, let's get some W's. Take her easy. Till next week. We're out.